This episode is brought to you by the Morning Rep. I've been using it to stay up to date with everything going on in the sport performance world. It's a daily newsletter that hits your inbox every weekday morning with news industry, coaching changes, research, and new job postings. Follow on Instagram at the Morning Rep for more information, and let's get into the episode. Joining us today's episode is Coach David Scorzelli from Newberry University. And man, Coach, what do you have?
Hey, it was great, man. We, turning it around the way we did and going on the run we did. It was, kind of cliche to say magical, but it was really awesome.
That's what I really wanted to talk to you about this year, is how you turned around a program from, last year to drastic improvements. And, everybody's always asking, hey, what do you do with the secret sauce? And obviously you got something for that, so I'm interested to learn about you and the process you take. So talk about your experience and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, well, to touch at the beginning, I'm sure we'll talk about this as we go, but, there's really no one secret sauce. I think everybody has their own thing, and, consistency is everything for us at Newberry, right? Like, we've had, here at Newberry College, we've had the same coach for 20 years. We've had, the same group of guys, and obviously coaches come and go, but Coach Knight has done a really good job at creating a consistent culture. Through the ups and downs, everybody kind of results back to that, which is really awesome. And it's been really awesome for me to buy into. I've been here for 4 years, and since day one, Coach Knight has included me in that culture, just like, hey, this is how we want to do it, and he's included my ideas and how I kind of want to run, as far as the strength conditioning department, and incorporated that so that it's kind of one group of people, not just this is what the strength coach says, this is what the football coach says, this is what my position coach says. Everybody's on the same page, and that kind of allows you to go through those ups and downs and come out better than you were. As far as my path to being at Newberry, coming out of college, I wanted to be a PT, like I thought going to college, and that's kind of a story for a lot of strength coaches, but I was a soccer player. I played soccer. I ran a little track, and I liked the idea of not working a desk job. Ironically, we spent a lot of time at the desk as strength coaches, but I didn't want to do a desk job. I didn't want to really do a whole lot of manual labor as far as like digging ditches, and that's no disrespect to that. I grew up, my dad is a climbs telephone poles, he does utilities, and I did that in the summers. I realized that wasn't really for me. I spent a little time with my grandfather and my uncle, helping them do income taxes and stuff on that end, and I was like, that's not really for me. So like, what's kind of in the middle of that? So I was like, I'll be a physical therapist, be on my feet, work with athletes. In college, I kind of shifted a little bit toward the strength and conditioning side. I was an exercise science major at Harding. I actually graduated with Coach Greg over at Harding. We were classmates. He helped me on a test or two. No one's really got the brain that guy's got. I mean,
He's awesome.
One of the smartest guys I know. But and then did my first internship at Coastal Carolina. Unpaid intern, went there in the summer, and that's where I fell in love. I mean, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm always a morning person anyway. I'm not a coffee guy. I just wake up, ready to roll. And that was I was like, this is what I need to be doing. This is what I need to be doing. Like, let's go lift some weights, let's go run, let's go make ourselves better. I had to go back to school and finish, graduated, and then I'm from upstate New York, Syracuse area. So I was applying to internships out of college, and they didn't post anything. I just happened to apply because I was like, if I could live at home for free, since I'll be working for free, that'd be ideal. So I actually got a couple opportunities, and that one came open. And again, with the, unpaid and stuff, I started there. And that was Coach Babers. He had just gotten to Syracuse, so that staff was kind of figuring everything out. Coach Sean Ettinger he was like, hey, we need some interns, and took a chance on me. He knew the coach at Coastal Carolina, so he talked to him and really took a chance on me. Went up there, I had a really great time, learned a whole lot. After about a year and a half, you know how coaching works. The offensive coordinator at Syracuse left, took a job, took some strength coaches with him, and Coach E came in and said, you know how I like things done, and we got some positions to fill. I want you to be one of those positions, and gave me my first opportunity to make some money and show I could do it. So I really owe a lot to him. I stayed there for three and a half more years, and I decided that it was time for me to kind of take the next step. Humbly, I feel like I had prepared myself, but I had also learned hands-on as much as I was going to there after 5 years. So an opportunity came up at Tiffin University with Coach Chris Reiser to go be his head strength coach for football. Really appreciated that opportunity. I didn't know that I was ready to be a head strength coach yet at 25, 26 years old. But again, I owe a lot to Coach E. He was like, hey man, no one's ready to be a head strength coach until they do it. So you can do it, go do it. He helped me a lot through it. And then after that, I got the opportunity here at Newberry. And I've been here for I just finished year 4. Starting year 5 here next week.
That's awesome. Great story. And I'm sure we'll get every bullet point to different things that interest me. Obviously, grad school is really good with Coach Greg. Talk about your experience in grad school and what did you truly learn about that?
Yeah, so it was actually undergrad with Coach Greg, and we had a great teacher, Dr. Phillips, and he actually put the bug in my ear about strength and conditioning and just kind of what that day-to-day entails, because he did a lot of this strength and conditioning for the Olympic sports at Harding at the time. His passion and the way he talked about developing athletes and developing the human body, I was like, man, if he gets this much joy out of it, like, I got to see what this is about. You know what I mean? And he taught our strength and conditioning class as well. And kind of the whole basis of the class was we went through the CSCS book, the NSCA book, and he just kind of talked about how that is applied, not just through the book, but in everyday life. And, he made me want to really test it out. And so going to Coastal with that in mind, I had an open mind already about how exciting it could be. I know sometimes, we get interns or GAs that are like, oh, strength coach, like, you got to go in, you got to be a hard ass, and you got to yell at them and push them. But the way Dr. Phillips kind of showed it was like, how exciting is it that you get to put this plan on paper and then watch these kids develop into grown men and like strong and athletic. So he really put that bug in my ear, and it was really awesome. So that's kind of how that started in my mind.
The next thing I thought my ear, you talked about being an intern at Syracuse, and after the post-grad, talk about what like an elite level intern looks like in your mind, and what these kind of coaches look for at that level.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, I'll probably do this a lot today. I got to give a lot of credit to Coach E, because the first thing he said when we got there, so we all sat down, all us interns, and the first thing he said after the other coaches introduced themselves and kind of told us what the internship was going to be about was, hey, like, you don't know anything. Like, I don't care where you were before, you don't know anything, because there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and we're going to do it my way. And at first I was like, okay, that's kind of like hard ass, like, whatever. It laid the groundwork for, again, keeping an open mind. Of like, even at Coastal, I was there for 4 months, and I had this idea in my head of, this is how you train a football team. It worked. They had been winning a lot. This is how you do it. And then you go somewhere, in the ACC, and the coach says, hey, you might think you know something, but you don't. So just shut up, take it all in. If you got questions, ask, but I don't want, anybody coming in with a self-righteous attitude of like, I'm an intern, but I should be a full-time. So those first couple weeks and months, a top-tier intern is just one that asks a lot of questions and does everything at 100%. Understanding time and place, right? We call it feel, like have some feel the room, right? Like if a full-time coach is telling an intern to do something, right, it's not out of maliciousness. It's out of, I need something done for the betterment of the athlete. If you don't understand it, let's talk about it later. I want to answer your questions, but get it done with intent, and then we'll discuss why. And I think that's really it. I don't think there's a specific education level for a good intern. There's not a specific age. There's not a specific, career goal. It's just somebody who just wants to be a sponge. Let me do everything at 100%, and let's be involved. And I think if you give me that, or any coach that as an intern, it's going to be successful.
Yeah, like you, I started being a young coach, getting my first head gig, like you talked about at Tiffin. So with me, it was a bunch of trial and error. Like what you think you know at the time is not what you're doing now.
Yes.
4 or 5 years later. So talk about your time being a young coach at Tiffin, and what growing pains did you have?
Oh man, I mean the growing pains never stop for us, right? Like I'm sure even now, like Like you just went, you go back to back, and then there's still something new tomorrow that could come up, and you're like, I haven't dealt with this before, right? You know, and so like for me, when I went to Tiffin, I had a great plan, right? I really did, but everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And like I showed up, I'll never forget my first day at Tiffin because I got hired probably 3 days.
Too, by the way, for anyone listening, like that's a good school.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity, and I got hired probably 3 days before fall camp. And so, you know, I jumped in my truck and I drove down there, and I'll never forget, my truck was loaded up. I had a tarp over the back. I pulled into the football stadium, and the guys were getting ready for warm up for day one of camp. And so I jumped out of my truck, turned my truck off, I ran down to the field, and I did warm up. I had met probably 3 or 4 of the coaches and the head coach, obviously, when I went and interviewed and did all that stuff. I hadn't met a single player, single athlete. I didn't even have the lay of the land. I didn't know how coach liked the warm up, what they had done in the past. And I just jumped out of the truck. I ran down the stairs with my whistle and said, let's go.
Awesome.
It's cool in hindsight. It's a cool story. In the moment, I was freaking out. I was like, can they hear me? I had the offense on the left side, the defense on the right side, and I'm just in the middle trying to scream and yell. And these guys are like, who is this? A guy who looks like us, like 25 years old, 26 years old, like just yelling at me to do like walking Tin Man and walking RDL. I was like, who is this guy? It was at that moment, like all my plans for the season and camp went out the window in a good way. It was like, okay, like you sat at your desk and planned this, and now you're here, and nothing is the way you thought it would be because you got 200 guys, and you're trying to do this and do that, and everything changes. So I think the growing pains was more mental of understanding like you got to be adaptable and have contingent plans. You can't just be stuck in your ways and stuck on one thing. You know, I was blessed when we got to Tiffin. The other strength coach there that was the director for all the other sports, Kyle, he had just purchased a new Rogue weight room, like set. So like we had like 10 new racks, a couple hypers, the Rogue donkeys and stuff like that. And so I actually got to work with a weight room that didn't even look how it looked when I interviewed. Like it was brand new and it looked awesome. So I got to add some new things and do some new things. We shared a building with classrooms. So there were times of the day when, you know, I'm having our red shirts or our freshman guys in the weight room, and I've got a professor coming in telling me to keep it down, keep the music down, because they're trying to do it, you know, an exercise science class in a lab right there. And so as a strength coach, you know, especially interning at places like Coastal or Syracuse where you had your own building and football or athletics was important. You can't do that there because it's not the only thing at a place like Tiffin. They have a great academics, and you know you want to say I'm training a football team, blah blah, but also they're training kids for their future too. So those type of growing pains never leave my mind. Like it was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, but that's what Newberry where you're at now. Having career longevity for 4 years, like you said. How has Newberry grown since you've been there? You kind of talked about it earlier, but how has it grown like since you've been there?
Oh man, so I got here and it was myself and one assistant that carried over from the last group that was here. So it was 2 of us, no interns, no GAs, 2 full time. We had 22 sports. Every single one of them wanted a piece of the weight room, which I love. But that doesn't make it efficient. And so we grinded. I mean, we spent 13 hours a day on our feet. You know, there wasn't a lot of downtime for programming on a daily, right? I had 6 a.m. was first weightlifting group, last group ended at 7 p.m. And now, and I'll go through kind of year by year a little bit because it was a steady growth, but now we have, like I said, we have 3 graduate assistants and I have a full-time assistant. And we've added 2 sports, but each coach has like 3 to 5 teams, and so we're able to have a little more time in between, and I'm able to sit down with each individual coach a little more and collaborate and talk about their programming and talk about that stuff. And to be honest, you know, the success of a lot of our sports has increased because of that, you know. And I just think more than just, you know, who the coaches are or whatever, it's just the availability and attention to the athletes has increased since I've been here, and that's really awesome. So that's kind of that. I mean, when I first got here, our athletic director had just got here as well. And so when I came, he's like, hey, we're going to grind, but I know what you need, or I'm listening to what you need. It's going to take time, but I'm going to work to get that. And true to his word, after that first year, he's like, hey, we want to get you some paid interns and go from there. So we got 2 paid interns, and they were great for us, worked their tails off, learned a lot, and we moved on from there. I said, hey, paid interns is great. It might even save us some money if we turn them into GAs, because then we're just paying for their school at Newberry. We give them housing, we give them a meal plan, we pay for their grad school, and then you kind of get the type of coach you're looking for making those steps. That's that fresh out of college trying to get that master's degree. So we turned them into GAs, and then I added one this past year to make it 5. And that's really, you always love more, but that's really the sweet spot, is having that 3 to 5 range of coaches.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously for the reason corporate, your passing special division, there are other divisions to school. But I want to know what you talk about the differences as well as the division 2. Obviously, the athlete, a couple of in your opinion, what's the biggest difference you've seen?
Yeah, for me, the answer is clearly personnel. We have a great weight room. Size is always going to be a question. You can't afford the giant weight rooms that you see at that level. So that's an obvious answer, but the personnel is huge for me. Even at the mid to higher tier FCS, mid-major level, you've got football-only strength coaches. You've got a staff that is completely separate for the Olympic sports, which gives like I said earlier, gives the attention to those athletes of, my main goal is these 3 sports. And I can go to their games. I can do my research. I can talk to other coaches. I can help another coach on staff with a team if they have a max out day or something, because I'm not swamped with 8 other teams, right? That to me is huge. We say we do it for the athletes. We say we do, our main goal, especially at this level, is develop these kids for their future, and giving them the personnel to actually pour into them is huge. And that's probably my biggest difference. I don't think talent level of coaches, I've got 3 GAs here for me right now that are going to be incredible full-time coaches. One of them, his GA ends this semester, and we're going through the process right now of like, what are your career goals? What kind of job are we looking for, right? And these are coaches that they could be, some don't want to do football, some want to do Olympic sports, but at any level, I have confidence in some of these GAs. I just think it's more the personnel. Having them here, having the ability to have 5 strength coaches is huge.
And that's awesome that you've built a staff, whether it's through GAs or interns, whatever. But what is your mindset behind hiring these GAs? Obviously, they call them interview, send their resume. What is something that you look for as a head strength coach whenever you're bringing someone into a program? Because, like I said, it reflects us. You don't want to bring someone in that don't believe, not necessarily believe, but could not embody what you're doing. So what is your hiring process? Like, what are some of the choices you look for?
Yeah, no, I think that when you're building a staff, right, like that's what our job is to do. It depends on the holes that you need to fill, and not just what teams are they going to work with, but what personalities on the staff are you lacking. I think it's important to have a well-rounded mental and emotional group of people. I don't want 5 people that are just like me. If I have 5 hotheads on my staff, then it's going to be a very explosive weight room. I'm a very intense, short fuse guy, and I try and direct that in the right ways. But having that self-knowledge, right, I want to hire people that balance that. I want to hire people that increase the effectiveness of that. So what I look for is self-confidence, and not just like self-confidence on the floor of like, this is what we want to do and this is how I want to run the program, but self-confidence of, I know who I am as a human. Like, I know how I'm going to operate. I don't necessarily want somebody who's going to come in and just stay in the background and kind of conform to how I act, right? I want somebody who's confident in the way that they are, so that when they put the pieces together of programming and when they put the pieces together of, managing a weight room and managing a group of 40 people, they can add that to their personality that they already have established. Unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of teaching somebody how to be an adult. I'm teaching 800 athletes how to be an adult. And I know a lot of times coming out of college as an undergrad, you don't have, that adult awareness of life. But my top candidates are kind of in that maturity standpoint already, just because of what we have here at Newberry. It's kind of selfish on my end, and
No, it's true because I can't tell you how many people I posted a grad assistant position, and first thing I do is look at their Instagram. If they got something on there that would embody what I want to be my coach,
Yeah.
it's restricted. So I've had plenty of people like that, and like you said, it's just easy. Like you would think that they know, but
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. Like, how much social media do you look at from your like potential candidates? I go through
that's the first thing I do.
everything.
I look at the resume and all, like, oh, those are good references, and I go straight to social media.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what
that
happens.
you have to.
Like, the first thing that you're going to do is look up,
Yeah.
what kind of person they are, and if that's the first thing they see, that's your first impression.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I talk to our staff all the time, and even interns, because we get most of our interns from on campus, right? They're trying to fulfill their internship, but most of them are exercise science majors and stuff like that. But part of our internship curriculum is professionalism, and you're allowed to post whatever you want on your social media, but just understand that the athletes, your fellow coaches, are allowed to take whatever they want from that post. Mm-hmm. So you still have to understand that, like, yeah, it's free speech and it's your post, but my interpretation of that could be anything. So you just have to kind of double check on that. Post being home with your family, post having a good time going out with your friends. Maybe don't post you running from the cops on the weekend because you were doing something dumb. Like, have some feel, and that's important. And we do that here. Me and my assistant, first thing we do is pull them up. Even if, hey, maybe I want to see if I recognize them from like a conference or something, but also, what are you posting? You look at my social media. My social media is only my family, and that's not really by design. I'm really bad about keeping up with my social media. My wife does. Now on Instagram you can collaborate posts or whatever.
Yeah.
So most of my posts are collaborations with my wife or collaborations with like Newberry Sports that they just tag the sports performance in, or they tag me in, and I just repost it. I do, and I tell my staff this all the time, but I do wish I was a little more involved in social media as far as posting weight room stuff and posting that. But one thing I am careful to do is not post the negative stuff, right? Make sure that that's staying as professional as it can be.
Yeah, and by the way, you have a really good social media account too. I looked at it, and
my assistant Sylvester took it over when he got hired full time, and he has done a great job keeping everybody accountable. We do stuff for each team, and he does a really good job of saying, hey, I need something from lacrosse today. I need something from whatever today. Keeping everybody up to date. His communication with that stuff is really good. So I'm glad you said that, because
because I mean, for real, I go through that kind of stuff. I'll always trying to get ideas and see what other teams are doing. So he does good. So you talked about what characteristics and traits you want from your GAs and interns. What about from the other side, from the player standpoint? What mentality do you try to instill within your players?
The biggest thing I try and, I don't want to say preach, but I just hammer like over and over and over again is be who you say you are, right? I don't walk in the weight room and say, the thing I laugh at the most is a guy who I'm like, we're talking about lifting weights and talking about, hey man, let's work on this, let's get a little stronger here, this will really help your strength, and then they just look at me and say, yeah, but get me on the field and I'm gonna ball. Hey, that's awesome, man. Like, you could be the best ball player in the world, but if I don't keep you healthy, then you're just talking to me, right? Or if you're not putting the work in and your teammates don't see that, then they're not going to trust you anyway. So like, you're talking to me. So be who you say you are. Every football player has a mental image of themselves in their head. It's like that. You ever seen that meme of like the little cub that looks in the mirror and sees a full-grown lion back at him? That's every football player that I've ever met. There are very few that look in the mirror and see the truth. That's a good quality to have, but you have to put the work in to become what you're seeing in the mirror, right? You're seeing a finished product, but you're not there yet. And so I want to make you that. I want to make you that lion in the mirror. I want to make you that full-grown football player, but you got to put back in that effort. And so that's my biggest thing. I mean, there's no, we don't have lifting expectations as far as you got to weigh this amount, you got to lift this much weight. We don't really have the facilities to mandate a training table where I'm forcing you to eat, right? We don't do that. Don't tell me you're going to be, I'm going to gain 20 pounds this off season, I'm going to put on this much muscle, and then I see you on week 2, you're doing 2 seconds eccentrics instead of the 6 seconds we're talking about, because No one's watching you and you're just kind of doing 1, 2 on the way down. Well, you don't really want to gain that weight then. And I'm not going to sit here and berate you, but I am going to remind you, you told me this. You said you wanted this. How does what you're doing reflect that? And so we try and instill a sense of accountability. And we do a good number of like competitive type stuff where the coaches, we call it like figure it out Fridays, right? I'm going to give you a task. I'm going to give you a competition. And it's not about the rules. I'm not going to give you all these rules. You have to do this way. Figure it out. Win. Use your teammates. And that instills a lot of accountability. Like teammates saying, hey, I need you to help me with this. I need you to do this. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do because we're trying to win this competition, right? And that shows up on Saturdays.
It does. And I was going to bring that up like a couple times where, y'all were behind and came back and won games. I mean, and that's where it comes from, is the figure it out mentality.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, as far as like knowing who you are as a team, right? I mean, I can't really think of many seconds in the season where you guys were behind. I mean, I even in our game, up 21-0, and then we kind of make a little run to make it 21-17. We're on the 10-yard line with a chance to take the lead, and I didn't see a single dropped head on your sideline, a single, we were driving, and then all of a sudden you guys come up with a pick in the end zone to keep us out. And, obviously the DBs are celebrating and like, yeah, this is awesome. But the rest of the team is like, yeah, like this is who we are. We know what we're capable of. We're not going to get down on ourselves because the defense is going to come through. And for us, leading up to that, and the 2 games before that, West Florida and Albany State, thank you. I want to say Delta State, but that's because I'm thinking of you. But Albany State and West Florida were down by 3 scores. And our sideline is just, here we go, buckle up. When I don't want to pat my own back, but at Albany State going into halftime, I looked straight at our specialist coach and I said, we're going to block this. That's part of me, is that just me, I'm being positive, right? Like we had scored 3 straight. We're feeling really good. And I just look at like, hey, we're going to block this going to halftime. Like, let's go. And sure enough, it happens and we're all celebrating. And the most used phrase on the way to the locker room was, this is what we do. No one likes getting down. We didn't celebrate getting down, but what we do is we just keep going. We just keep fighting and keep fighting. And Coach Knight harps on it. Don't be happy with that going into halftime with the lead. Remember, you were down 3 scores. Let's come out of half and build on it. Next step. Keep going. And so, that is the mentality, right? Or I'm going to give this guy a shout out. One of our receivers, DeAndre Coleman, we call him Bug. I told him all year, I said, man, you're one of the reasons why this team steps up in the second half, because on that sideline, when the offense comes off the field, they score. We're down 21-0. We score a touchdown. The offense goes over. They're going to their coaches. They're talking about this. As soon as they're done, he's on his feet, running up and down the sideline. Come on, D. Give us the ball. We gonna get you. Give us the ball. We got your back. Blah, blah, blah. Everything. We're going to fix it. All this stuff. The whole game. I always tell my staff, I'm waiting for the 4th quarter bug freak out. When it's a 2-minute warning or in between the 3rd and the 4th quarter, and he's just in the huddle. And sometimes it's a distraction because the coaches are trying to call a play, and he's in there like, this is the time. Let's go. And you can see it on the team, like, okay, 3 weeks in a row, he's walked in this huddle and ripped our heads off. And 3 weeks in a row, we've gone down the field and we scored. And the defense has got to stop and we've scored. And it's just having that trust, having that competitive trust of, you went 3 and out, the next time you're going to go score a touchdown. Defense, you lit up a bomb over the top, the next time you're going to force a fumble, right? A couple times this year, we've had a big 3rd and long that we've given up. And instead of deflating on the sideline 2 plays later, we got a safety flying down, punching the ball out. And it's just like, that's the difference, right? And again, that's the difference between last year and this year.
In the offseason is what I was trying to get to. I'm not all year, you guys were passionate, played. And I can see it, like fellow coaches, and I totally agree with you there. Did you want to add anything? Cut you off.
No, and it's good. The only thing I want to say, and I think this is good for all coaches at our level, I know a lot of coaches struggle with this, myself included, and I don't know who's going to be able to use this for them, but like, keep fighting the fight for a summer program at your school.
Yes, that's the
keep fighting that fight.
Keeping kids here in the summer.
This was the first year we had it. And I hesitate to say, yeah, we went to the regional championship and won it because of the summer program. I tell all our recruits and stuff when they ask, it's not even the weightlifting. Like, the weightlifting is great. It's another 4 to 5 weeks of training. If you don't get the whole summer and you only get July, whatever. What I noticed was our quarterback and receivers playing 7-on-7, our DBs playing just on their own, being around each other, like getting to know each other without class in the way, without meetings for football meetings every day, right? They come to the weight room, they have their one class they go to, and then they're just around each other. How many times did that show up for us when we're scrambling around the pocket and it looked like I'm sitting there in -2 degree weather and all I'm seeing is 95 degrees in Newberry and playing 7-on-7, our quarterback Reed scrambling around finding KD for fun. They're just messing around. And then all of a sudden we're in the game and he's scrambling around and he almost doesn't need to look. He knows where KD's going to be. He knows where Boog's going to be or Rico. He knows it because that's what they did all summer. I think that made a huge difference for us. And I tell every admin, every person, when you get in a position for football and you're trying to find out what football can use at this level, it's a summer program. Find a way to fund it. Find a way to get kids here.
Agreed. Our most successful teams were the ones that stayed with the summer. Volleyball went Elite Eight back-to-back years, and then football obviously back-to-back. I mean, we look at the summer. We don't have everybody, but the guys who sacrifice and give up or just happen to be the guys that the 1 and 2 teams. So the summer program, I can't speak enough of that. That's what I was going to lead into next was, what was the difference between last year and this year? You kind of spoke on it. You spoke on culture too, and I hate the word culture because I say great episode of culture is that, what I mean? So what was the process from last year to this year, going from what you was last year to winning to losing with one game, tremendous turnaround. And so obviously some of what was in your mind did you see?
I mean, honestly, a lot of the process was talking to other coaches in my position that have had that success, right? Like, I talked to Coach Greg a lot and talked to a couple other people and going to conferences and pick people's brain. And the overwhelming response that I got was find ways to increase the buy-in, and not just through getting you stronger, but I care about what you need to get better at, if that makes sense. Like evaluate what each, hey man, we're gonna get you that extra burst off the line, right? We're gonna show you that that's working, and finding creative ways to show that. A lot of that has to do with the competitions, but a lot of it has to do with, give them an opportunity to not just be in a rack and display that athleticism. Pairing up a squat with some sort of explosive movement. Almost, we don't go full French contrast, but some sort of explosive movement. So I could say, hey man, I'm broad jumping further. I'm being more explosive. I'm beating this guy in a race, or I'm getting faster here, and then reward them for that. We've gotten away from rewarding hey, you set a PR on squat. That's a huge reward. Not, hey, you can squat 600 pounds. There's no number. It's just, hey, did you get better? Did you get faster? Did you do this? And then relate it all together. And so for me, it was going back and reminding them, hey, you just told me you feel faster. You're 8 pounds heavier than you were last year. We can get bigger and faster. You don't have to lose weight to get speedy. The receiver coach, if I get to be 185, I'm going to slow down. Well, no, you're 160 and you're going to get broken in half. Let me get you to 185. You'll actually get more powerful, and you'll be able to take those hits. Let's keep you on the field. It's easy to say. You got to find ways to show them that. And so for us in the off season, we spent a lot of time rewarding technique, rewarding holding someone else accountable, rewarding, doing extra, because those are the things, not just, hey, he's the strongest guy on the team. Sometimes that's genetics. Sometimes they just are, and then you start losing the guys in the back that are like, well, I'm never going to be able to bench 405. I'm a linebacker. I weigh 180 pounds. So there's no point in me trying, coach isn't going to notice me. I'm not going to bench that much. It's no, man, I just noticed that you went over to our offensive lineman and told him, and helped him do his pull-ups because he's 350 pounds, he's never done a pull-up. And you're sitting like, I'm going to reward that. Like, that's a good teammate. So letting them know that there's value in that was huge. Again, the summer program, getting the guys around each other, letting them know that they don't have to rely on a coach's leadership. You know, I'll openly say the past couple of years, the coaches have had to be more of that vocal leader of like, hey, here's the schedule. We need everybody to do this, everybody do this. Having that summer program, let our quarterbacks, you know, not just our starting quarterback, but our whole quarterback room, let our, you know, older guys have the opportunity to be without coaches watching over them and leading a team. Hey guys, we're meeting on the field at this time. Let's go. Hey, where were you yesterday during 7-on-7, man? This and that. Don't do that. Come on. And not having the coaches have to do that, it gave them permission to take control of the team. And it changed how we operated a lot. Coaches didn't have to go and do those like fine print things of effort and stuff during camp because they already had.
It's been less micromanaging, more like and I hate to say player-led, but player-led, you know? And that's what we want is like a team that's a good team's going to be coach-led, and a great team's going to be player-led. And just give them opportunities throughout the year, through the summer training, through, you know, spring ball, obviously, and it all just kind of falls together.
Yeah, I mean, what are some opportunities that you give them to like lead as far as like, and from a broad spectrum? Like, actually, this is a good question that I've been asked. I like to ask, like, if you see a guy on your team that has the potential to be a leader, how do you bring that out of him?
I think something that we do here is I let someone in that area, like I let them do the stretch, you know, and not in the weight room, like out in the field is different. Sorry, in the weight room, not out on the field. But like, you know, before, I mean, we do the same, like, you know, upper body, lower body, like warm up. It's 2 minutes long. You got to give them autonomy to be a leader, and then they can do those kind of things. So we have like a linebacker who is pretty special. You know, hey, you got 1 2, and then we'll change every single time. And then the guys end up really liking that, you know. And so just giving the players autonomy, in my experience, is probably the best thing you can do because that's what they want. Now, whether that's, you know, hey, I'm going to show you how to do the drill before, you know, the speed workout start, and whenever you come in, we want you to like you know how to do it.
Be my example.
Yeah, just giving them like the autonomy to being the leader, and then they step up and like, oh, I started leading. Our team this year was led by a freshman quarterback, a redshirt freshman quarterback. And yeah, he's been in the system for a year, but like he didn't, you know, we run 2 quarterback systems. Our guys don't know when they're playing until the kickoff or like before. And so like to be ready to run this is a big ask for them. So it's hard every year. The coach is the one starting fire, motivating, and doing everything. That's probably the biggest thing to me is giving them that power. And then obviously listening to them, like, you got to find your dogs. I was told earlier in my career, your horses and donkeys, right? 2 kind of athletes. They both look alike, but the donkeys will yield a lot more. And so you got to find your horse to the team, your leaders, your 1, 2, maybe 3s, and you know, listen to those guys. You have weight room guys who love being sore, but how does you know the wide receiver who's maybe not the biggest man on lifting, how does he feel? And so if they're feeling good, everyone else will follow along too. So,
yeah, finding those guys like that have kind of the undertone of the locker room outside of the weight room. Like when they get back in the locker room, what is that, you know, corner or receiver saying that you know, isn't the weight room guy? Like, because if he's talking positive about the weight room, then everyone kind of follows that or stuff like that.
Yeah, and I see everybody in thirds too, like a third love the weight room, anything like to get in there. Another third like hates the weight room, like you know, just don't understand anything. They're okay with being 165 at being run back, and then you got a middle third in between. And our job, you know, how can you get that middle third to the leader to the right side, you know, and then that last third is into the middle. And then, you know, eventually your culture is where you want it to be. And so I'm fortunate enough to where both places have been steady and fair. Like you just build that connection with them pretty early on. They truly buy in. And there's not many, you know, last thirds. And so that all comes with the relationship, everything. So.
Yeah. How was that transition north from Delta?
It was cold. You know, I think I mean, everyone says, man, like, I'm too negative. Like, it's like, yeah, we gotta play that too. It don't happen. Like, so, like, nothing can prepare anyone for the kind of weather because we're right off the Lake Michigan, so
Oh
we
yeah,
get that cold.
that lake effect snow.
Man, and it's tough, but athletes are definitely different. Like, I'm not saying anything about the state, like, the athletes are special there, but when you got Marines out of guys here that are, you know, we had two twins on the offensive line, you know, Tim Bob. They show up, you know, 4 years ago, and they're 240. And so, like, you know, they're 6'5", but, like, you know, there's a huge frame, and that's cool whenever whenever they bring in recruits. And I'm like, man, like, through the shoulders. So I think, like, the different kind of athlete obviously is different. It's not as much micromanaged, I would say. Like, all the coaches really trust here compared to, like, where all the younger street coaches, like you talked about Tiffin. Everyone's kind of like, hey, like, why do you know, not really questioning, but, like, wanting to know why.
Right.
And here's, like, you know, I guess that's kind of an improvement. And so that's, like, the best part that I've seen that I really enjoy here is I'm never, like, Coach Haynes doesn't, you know, why we do this, like, I see this, and whereas before being maybe 3-4 years younger than I was, you get questioned a little more. So that's what I was, I could relate and talk about that Tiffany.
Yeah, that's a fun time to look back on, but in the moment you're just like, man, why are you questioning me? Like, let's go. Or my favorite is, I don't know if you have a lot of this. At Tiffin we did here, not so much. The TikTok guy, hey, I saw this on Instagram. Like, I saw this guy doing this. I saw LeBron doing this. Like, whatever. Like, I'm just like, man, like.
Yeah, that's all fake. I tell them, like, I still get guys to me, like, DM or, like, something crazy, and I'm like, dude, can we really get 40 guys doing that one? And they're like,
yeah.
No, you're right, Coach. And I'm like, I mean, do that all the time, you know, but yeah.
How many people would get hurt doing this as opposed to actually benefit from doing this?
Yeah, no kidding, because everyone wants to do the little cool, like 2-minute setup, but, you know, 2 minutes times 40, you know, that's a half the day, half the lift.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun, like, with the different personalities too. Like you said, like a third of the guys are like, man, I just want to lift. I want to go in there. I want to squat and bench and whatever. And then a couple of the guys are like, well, let's just, you know, get the bands and jump around.
Yeah.
I don't need to squat heavy. Like, I'm a receiver. I'm a whatever, like, I just need to be fast. I need to be quick. And it's like, well, yeah, you do, but also, you know,
do some power something.
Yeah, I gotta turn you into an athlete here. And right now, you're just a really quick high school kid with good hands. Like, let's turn you into a college football player.
Yeah.
But interacting with those personalities, and I think that's what kind of what I said at the beginning of, like, this level being kind of the best all around coaches is because you're working with, and not even just the level of athlete, but you're working with the kids that benefit the most from development outside of genetics. You know what I mean? I mean, these kids get a lot.
Too, and what people don't understand it, like, we double redshirt here. We have a lot of retention. And our coaches too, like, we retain a lot of our coaches. So what happens is, like, we'll get, like, a guy that's a freshman, like, everyone knows Trinidad right now and all this, but they double redshirt, you know what I mean? People want to redshirt twice, they want to be in the system for a long time. They're not quick just to get out.
Hey, one second. I'm sorry to interrupt you. My head coach walking in. Yes, sir. Give me a little. I'll be up there.
You need a roll.
That's the old HC trying to get the spring calendar finalized.
Oh yeah.
But
We'll get wrapped up. I'll just cut all this part out.
I'll go up into his office afterwards. He that's another thing I love about him. He's not afraid. He'll just walk down here. You know, it's not always got to be a phone call. It doesn't always have to be email. He wants to come down and chop it up, sit in the office, hang out. And, you know, I always say, like, when you think about people, like, for us, it's we're in charge, but also we're working for somebody.
Yeah.
So when you look at a job and you're like, well, yeah, the job is great, but who's the guy I'm working for? Who's the head football coach? And can I see myself working with that guy, being friends with that guy? Him and I are taking care of the same 150, 180 guys, right? So like, do we align on how we want to take care of these guys? Coach Knight's a good one right there. We call it the good wolf, and Coach Knight is the leader of the pack on that. He's a good guy, and I love working for him, working with him.
And I think that's what two seasons the difference. Just finding people that you work with or work for. And so, I don't know, my job is a job. I think it's fun because, like you're right, I get up at 6, really early, 6, and then all day, this is something you work with day too. It's a fun atmosphere, and I just really love it. Next question is everyone's favorite, the off season. What is your philosophy and your approach? Obviously, like changing things each year. What is the attack or what you're having this year?
Yeah, so process-wise, like you kind of look at where are our shortcomings, right? And for us, it's how do we get back and be better, like go further, right? For me, this year, just to be open about it, like we were quick, we were explosive, we were good mentality. We were not the biggest and strongest team. And some of the places we struggled was, in those areas of holding our own, whether it be in the trenches or just blocking on the outside or just being a more physical, violent team. And that hurts as a strength coach to say, right? Because that's like, that's what we do. Like we need to build big, physical, violent people. And it's really easy to look back and say, oh, we're regional champions, like Final Four, like our team was great. But when you really sit here and think about it, and what our staff kind of talked about is like we need to hold up better in those areas. So this off season is big on that, big on volume accumulation, big on really just overall like hypertrophy and size gain. Like we need to now look like regional champions.
Yeah.
And the buy-in for that should be hopefully like the guys are going to be ready for that because we want to be like a Ferris or like a Harding or like any of those. Like we don't want to do it once and be like, greatest season, like it's a great memory. Like we want to see you guys again in a couple months. We'd like to see you guys at our place in a couple months. You know what I mean? Like that's the goal. So what do we need to do for that? And I'm not gonna lie, like our conference is tough. Our conference is big and physical. You start seeing teams like a Wingate or a Lenore Ryan. Anderson is a third-year program, and they're big and tough and strong, and like that's where we are. Catawba came in here. They didn't have the best season in the world. They came in here and out physicaled us week 3, right? And so for me, that can't be our reason why, right? That can't be our reason why we drop a game. It can't just be pure physical. So we are going to focus on that in the off season and scouting wise for next year. Watch this video. We're gonna try and out physically improve that we can because we didn't do that this year, right? And so like that's my goal. And I communicate that with our coaches. I ask them, hey, what did you see? What are some things? Obviously everyone wants to say slap each other on the back, but what are some things? And that's one of the things, recurring themes that I thought, and that's coaches agree with me that we can get better at, and so we're going to. So we spend a lot of time, and like I don't know. Let me look at what my camera's showing you right now. But my
Whiteout.
My whiteboard right now is full of just bullet points and ideas. We drew a calendar on here for the 7 weeks before spring ball, just as far as like what we want to do. And we're saying, hey, what can we do to get more physical? And physicality doesn't look like a 700-pound squat. It looks like a 500-pound squat over and over and over and over and over and over again. Right?
Yeah. I can agree because I think that's what makes me different as a strength coach. Is I don't care how much somebody squats or how much they bench. I care about how violently they move that bar. And we don't have BBT or anything like that. Yeah. But can you do like a cluster sound, like a 2 and 1? Mm-hmm. So anyone do it twice with you. Take a 10-second break, one more minute, boom. So we don't train for strength either to kind of piggyback off what you're saying too.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll kind of run a lot more volume early, and then cluster sets and repeat effort like that, and then we'll do like a little, like when we want to max out, we'll do like a little 5-3-1 quick block. Mm-hmm. But that's our goal right now. And for me, like honestly, the greatest example was when we played you guys, and no one can really do a lot side to side because of the ice and the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were able to just, I mean, you ran the same running play a bunch of times, and you were just able to keep going and keep going and keep going and wear people down. And I think we held up okay, but obviously we didn't hold up enough. And the cool thing is the guys can see that, you know, and because we had such a good season, I actually think that benefits us for getting improvement because they see that we can do it. And what would we be like with the next step? And so that's kind of what our process is right now, is adding.
Yeah, one of our coaches just wanted to say. I love that you talked about your top priority. I mean, obviously, same thing. Like, that's what we hang our hat on, is just being physical and again, not being strong but powerful. And I think a lot of strength coaches will, hey, coach, this guy squats 700 pounds. Well, how does that win us games? There's a lot of times, like, the questions I get asked. So it's like, yeah, that's good to an extent, but like, can you move another, 300-pound guy off the line?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, then your brain starts thinking, it's like, why be good for one rep, one play? You can do it multiple times. So I like a long volume, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes great sense.
Through it all. And so I used to be, a coach when I was a GA, like, oh, we got to have strong to beat these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Big, good. And then thinking of cool stuff, are they athletes? At the end of the day, these guys are here to play football or lacrosse, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
They're not going to lift weights. Now, do they work? Yes.
Yeah, and I began taking the approach like max days or maxing out testing and stuff. That's like a really great opportunity to show them they're getting stronger. It's not like a thing for me to make me feel better, right? I know I can see a guy, like that's why we're coaching. I can see a guy after 4 weeks. Oh yeah, he's stronger. He moves better. He does this, but it's an opportunity to show them. But I don't need to be every 3 weeks. Let's max out and let's see how heavy we can go and see what. That doesn't actually help. It just boosts the ego maybe a little bit, which is important in times. But it's more about can I repeat effort, and and this is probably I'm sure you say it in recruiting too. I say this in recruiting all the time. Like, what does a 700-pound squat do if you're sitting on the bench?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that doesn't do anything for me. I want to keep you healthy and make sure you can play for. I mean, we played for 14 weeks. 14 weeks straight we played. Can you?
All week, huh? Y'all had a bye week, I'm assuming, too. So
no bye week. We had no bye week. No. And so for us, it's like, can you be as powerful in week 14 in -2-degree weather as you were in week 1 when it's 70 and everyone's feeling great?
Everyone's feeling good week 1 or week 0.
Yeah, you're out of camp. You're ready to hit someone that's not in the same jersey as you. You come out there and, like, especially if you get the win, you're just like, yeah, this is going to be a good year. Great start. I feel great. Well, that's a little different in week 14 when it's like, okay, well, we just got off a plane. Yeah, we're excited because it's the Final Four, but also we had a whole season of getting beat up. We had a whole season of playing physical. Like, can you be that powerful? And so even in season, we're sitting here and we're like, let me throw, 90% on for sets of 2. Put a box under you, take some pressure off your knees a little bit, but let me still be powerful without all that volume, because we did that.
That's what y'all did for in season too, to stay healthy and sustain it all. What tips and tricks? And if you want to talk about your program, you can. But like, what tips and tricks do you have in season to keep the guys hungry and wanting to stay in the weight room?
Oh man, move their body really fast and make them feel like they're still strong. Obviously a long season. You're gonna, everyone talks about peaking, right? We're peaking at the conference championship. We're peaking at the national championship. Peaking. But, like, no one's body holds up for 15 weeks and is in peak condition in week 15 if you've played football the whole time. It's more about staying as close to the top as you can for a long, extended period of time. And so for me, it looks like taking the volume out and increasing the power, right? So, like, take the wear and tear off the shoulders, take the wear and tear off the knees, but let them feel powerful, activate that nervous system. So, I mean, our running back, our starting running back was, or I guess our starting H-back was squatting 620 pounds for doubles. Yeah. He was playing for doubles 3 days before we traveled to Michigan. You know, and he did it. He was doing that before the whole playoffs. But again, you know, and this is dumbed down weight room science and math. But like if you just do simple math, because coach will always say, why would you put 600 pounds on his back? Well, you want him to squat 300 pounds for sets of 5. What's 300 times 5? That's 1,500 pounds of volume and 5 reps on his knees. I'll do a set of 600 for 2. That's 1,200 pounds, and he's only bent his knees twice. And now he's activated. He feels powerful. His muscles are used to that type of pressure. And again, there's so much more nuance to it. There's so much more science to it. But, you know, when you're talking to a coach or talking to a player, that's the most basic way I put it, where his body now feels what it's like to go hit somebody, 600 pounds of force, moving the bar fast because he moves it fast. I'm feeling that, and I've only done it twice, and now my body feels fresh. And I've got that blood pumping and those muscles activated. And I don't have to sit there and make myself sore and do 5 sets of 5, 25 total reps of just pounding. Because he's still pounding on the field. He's still got practice. So that's in season. That's kind of where we look at it. And now we're shifting to like, I make sure your shoulders are moving through a full range of motion smoothly and not finding hitches. Can we load up a banded exercise, or can we load up a squat and get full range of motion, or get my knees bent and my ankles moving? Because ultimately that's what it looks like, and that's what helps us on the field.
Yeah, for us, it's again the same thing autonomy. What I'll do is we try to get about 7 exercises in each time they come in. So they'll come the day after Sunday, and then Tuesday, and then Thursday for like a med ball, like bend or something. But for the actual part, like again, you give them kind of autonomy instead of maybe they're not feeling, you know, doing a barbell, you know, like a push press, or, you know, they're like, say, hey, go do dumbbell, do single, and it's the same movement. Now they're feeling like empowered, like, oh, this is the easier way, but it's still in our mind like the same.
Coach is keeping us fresh. Coach is looking out for us.
Yeah, he's looking out for us.
Exactly.
And instead of like squatting, like we'll throw some chains on. Hey guys, will just move fast today.
Yep.
And stuff like those are probably the biggest tips I would say to do for anybody listening, and just kind of keep us fresh. You know, obviously we'll play teams, and we'll go up by 50, and we'll pull the starters by half. Well, those starters want to lift. Like they're still going to hit it like hard. So why would we pull those guys back whenever, like you said, they still want to go?
Yeah.
So I think every good team has those guys, the culture drivers, and if you have obviously more than not enough, then the whole team starts doing it. So I remember going into Harding, and like I kind of caved a little bit. I was like, man, our guys are beat up. It was called like our number 12. He had burst his sacks in his elbows. It's like, Coach, I can't move my elbows. And this is the day after the game too, from just falling on that turf.
That was hard surface, man.
And so I'm like, hey, let's just do side raises instead of like, the lat pull down. Yeah, that's all. So you still give them autonomy to do stuff, and they're still like dogging it.
And make them feel capable. Like you can do stuff. Yeah. Like you don't have to do the heavy whatever, but you can get some stuff done, and then they feel good about it.
Yeah. And so the last part of the interview or podcast is kind of some quicker questions and some rapid fire. So the first question is, how have you developed this all season? I feel like us as coaches and as players to do a lot to develop. Obviously, we do our due diligence every winter. How have you as a strength coach developed from the last game till, because y'all start on Monday, right?
Yeah. Sunday they come in. Well, the big thing for me, the first thing I did was sat down with my staff, and it's always tough to do it because I'm their boss, but it's like, hey, what can I improve on as a boss?
I love that. I love that you said that because I did the same thing.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like it's just like, hey man, like what can I do to make you more successful as working for me, right? Like my GAs. What do you need from me that I may, obviously we had a long season and I may have gotten distracted with some things or not kept up with. Like, what are some things that I can do better on? And, it starts off with like, oh no, coach, it was great. And then finally you're like, no, like you're safe here. I'm not firing anybody out. I want to know what I can do to be better because I need to improve too, right? So we went over that. And, the feedback from my staff, just to be completely open, was certain attention to detail of things that I say that are important. So, just again, being a little vulnerable about it is like at the beginning of the semester, I made some rules like, hey, we need to focus on these. Like, I don't want the guys in here wearing certain things, or I don't want the guys in here doing this, or we need to do this every day as a staff, right? And then we get to the playoffs or conference championship week, and I'm trying to keep the vibes high. I'm trying to keep everybody right, so I'm kind of getting lax on some of those things, right? So my staff's like, hey, you need to do a better job of sticking to what you say. If it's not important, then it's not important. But if you say it's important, stick to it. And so I'm like, okay, I got my notes now. Like, whenever I say something, I make a rule in the weight room. For example, we do check-in in the locker room, and then we jog into the weight room every day as a team or as a lift group, right? So I'll go do check-in, we jog over. I'm holding myself accountable for jogging with the team, not walking behind them, or making sure the team is there, and not, if a guy walks in for check-in a minute late, not be like, hey, jump in, let's go, come on. Be like, hey, no, you need to be here on time, right? Just because we're winning doesn't mean you get to walk in 30 seconds late. So that's one of the things, is like, remind myself every day, like, that's what you got to do. And then from like a programming standpoint and from like a coaching on the floor standpoint, I feel like I did a better job this offseason than in off seasons in the past of going to my mentors and being like, how can I improve this, right? Not being satisfied of, I wrote a really good program, man. We went to the Final Four. Hey, will you look at this? Like, you and I have known each other for a long time. Will you look at this and say, like, what can I improve for my team? And being humble about that. You know, I've ran my own football team for 5 years now, but like finding a way to force myself into humility of, what else can I do? What more can I do? What's the next step for me? I did a lot of that. Contacting people that I don't know that well. I hesitate to call it networking because I'm not networking, but contacting people through other people. Hey, you and I both know this guy. I'd love to pick your brain on some things, and actually following through with that, right? Actually saying like, here, let me send you some stuff that I'm thinking. You tell me what you think, right? And like, I'd love to do that with you now that we have a little bit of a relationship. Like, hey, coach, how's your off season going? I'm starting to do some of these things. What do you think about this? I haven't been good about that in the past. And so now I'm doing that a lot more, and it's benefiting me immensely.
I agree. A good quote that I kind of keep on my desk is feedback. Listening to feedback is a hard thing to do because it challenges who we are and what we think. And so no one wants to hear, oh, you could have done this better than that. But you need to challenge yourself and make, not only yourself, but the team better. So I agree with you. I say for me, answering the question is just calling them coaches all the time. I'm by no means probably like know it all. I'm probably the last person to know it all, but I through talking to everybody else and getting to know like what other teams are doing. Like everyone has like a specialty, and you can learn that.
Absolutely.
All right, last section, just rapid fire questions. So short answer. What is your favorite lift to coach?
My favorite lift to coach? Man, that's a tough one. Sorry, I'm trying to give you a short answer. My favorite lift to coach is probably just your average run-of-the-mill bench press. Well, I think it's fun. It's easy to get buy-in, and if you fix someone's technique, they get stronger way faster. Like it's immediate results. Like, hey, keep your shoulders back, keep your elbows at 45, and you're gonna push it, and then they immediately like 40 pounds more on the bench. Like, that's fun for me. So I'd say just you run the mill bench press.
Least favorite lift to coach?
My least favorite lift to coach is any overhead Olympic. I think they're super important. But when you got 50 guys in a weight room that have never done it, coming out of high school, like you got to do it, but dang, it's annoying and like not my favorite.
What is the most overrated training trend or diet?
Overrated training trend or diet? Any sort of excessive aerobic conditioning. Yeah. It's like, just why?
What is one book, article, or quote every coach should know?
No, that's great. I got two that I actually wrote down before this because I love these two things, and I learned them at Syracuse from Coach E and from Coach Babers. And they're not by no means the authors of these quotes, but Coach Babers always used to say, be consistently good, not occasionally great.
That's good.
It's awesome if you're like put up 50 points in a game one time and everyone talks about it, but if you can consistently play defense, play hard, be in the weight room, do that, you're always going to have a better outcome. And then one thing Coach E always used to say was, once is a happening, twice is a habit. So like everybody, there's always grace, right? Like you're allowed to mess up. You're always allowed to mess up as a coach, as a player. Stuff happens. If you repeat it, then you're creating a habit in yourself. It's a conscious choice at that point now, right? Like you know how you've messed up in the past. So what are you taking to fix that mess up or that screw up, right? And same on the flip side. Everyone talks about New Year's resolutions. Going to the gym is awesome, but it's once is a happening, twice is a habit, 3 times now we're doing it. Now it's a conscious choice every day. It's an effort, right? So those 2 things I think are really important just for culture standpoint and for like your own personal growth.
And then last question is, what is one person you took to dinner and why and they could be alive or dead?
Man, that's such a sappy question. Like the answer is for sure like my grandfather, because he's not around anymore.
Yeah.
Just, and it's not even like a reach back. Like I knew him. He passed away a couple years ago. Like I've known him my whole life, but just to have that one more time, same or him or my grandmother, that is passed back in 2010. Like those 2 people, like just that one more conversation, right? And there's so many other people that you'd be like, oh, I can learn this and that, but man, like that family and those people, like just being able to sit down and smile at them one last time and tell them everything's good and seeing them, that would be who I take.
Again, Coach, thanks for joining in the show, and it means a lot. You got on.
Yeah, Coach. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to continuing to stay in contact, connect, and keep talking shop. I love what you do. I love this whole series, so keep it going.